to Edge Fitness Solutions.
Hey, this is Tracy Austin with Mental Fitness Matters. This show is designed to provide people with tips, strategies, and solutions to improve your mental fitness. This is Mental Fitness Matters. Hey, everybody. You are listening to Mental Fitness Matters. I am your host, Tracy Austin, and it is the third Thursday of the month. So I am hanging out with my amazing co-host, Miss Erica Singleton. She is the Director of Communications for Professionals Beyond the Game. And Erica, good morning. I just want to make sure, if you're not watching this on Facebook Live, if you're probably listening to it via podcast or whenever that gets on Spotify or iTunes, make sure you guys go back and look at the YouTube video today. We have an amazing show in store for you guys. Erica, how are you doing this morning?
I'm fantastic. I am fantastic.
You are fantastic and you're phenomenal. Every time I think about how our relationship and friendship is evolving, I continue to learn more and more about you. And when we think about professionals beyond the game, there are so many things about you, your skill sets, your gifts, and you just continue to just shine and let people know that you can do many things.
Yeah, yesterday, honestly, was one of those days where I felt like my skill set let me down a little bit, but it was one of those things that was kind of fortuitous. Our scheduled guest, unfortunately, had a last-minute change, and we will still have them again, and they'll be able to talk about all of that. But in trying to find people, if I have to find a last-minute guest, Tuesday is a better day to do it. Thursday is so hard, and I try not to burn through all of my emergency. I need favors from people. So with this one, it was just going to be me and you, but it opened an opportunity to have a conversation that I think was necessary. And so, like I said, it kind of came together perfectly. And it allows for me to really step into a different role. So today, I'm not so much the Director of Communications, but I am both a swim coach, former swimmer, and a former competitive swimmer, and a swim instructor. And so we are going to talk about what's going on in the swimming world with swim caps. And you may have noticed that my hair really changed between a month. I specifically wore this today to be able to give some really good examples of what's going on. I know some people are like, who is that on with Tracy? I'm going to keep it real.
Yes.
I didn't even bring in my best wig. This one is specifically brought. There's a little bit of volume to it, but it compresses well. It's puffy at the top. Like, we're really going to talk about all of this, but why are we talking about it? That is the reason. And so starting out, it's an Olympic year, always a great time for swimming because people watch the Olympics, they watch the qualifying, and if they haven't swam before, if they want to get back into it, this is that moment where they look at it and they're like, I really want to do that. The Olympics makes everything look easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And all the hard work that people put into it. But with all of that hard work, there's been a conversation about soul caps. And for people, I put up a video yesterday promoting the show, and there were a couple of people who actually mentioned on my social media, like they knew nothing about it. Yeah. They'd never even heard about it. And so the conversation stems around a London-based swim cap maker, the Soul Caps. They are Black-owned, to UK-based as well. And the decision had been made by FINA, which is the International Federation for Swimming. FINA doesn't necessarily spell out exactly in that, but just know that's who they are because not everybody knows who FINA is. And they banned soul caps at competitive events. And within the conversation about it, their statements mentioned that they didn't feel that they were necessary and they went against the natural shape of the head. And so one of the things I really wanted to talk about today were swim caps, the natural shape of the head, putting caps on, and hair in general, because my hair is part of the natural shape of my head.
Right.
I think that is important to acknowledge. Right. And with this wig, I am showing a different type of hair than my own, but mine does not grow straight out of my head and just fall to the sides. So I make that point now because it's going to be very important later.
Yes.
Nikki is over there laughing at me. And a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about, some of it is I'm going to explain through words, because if you're not watching the video, you don't get to see me put some of these different things on. But I don't mean to condescend, but I do want to make it known that some people aren't part of the competitive swimming community. Some people don't even swim recreationally. And so a lot of this is knowledge that they don't have. And I think
I'm going to
that's
be
also
asking
very
a lot
important.
of questions. I think I'm glad you said that, because
I'm
I think,
here.
you know, what we don't know, we just don't know.
What you
right?
don't know, you just don't know. And so for people who do know, I'm not dumbing it down for anybody. Your chair.
Whoa.
You went down right as I said dumbing it down. Thank you so much for the example.
Nakia, the chair's over here.
But one of the things I also wanted to say is I'm part of trying to keep us going.
Yeah.
I'm part of a U.S. Swim Master Swim Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the Mahogany Mermaids. As far as we know, they are the only ones predominantly black, a U.S. Master Swim Club, and started by black women, for black women, really talk about the history of black swimmers. And one of the caps I'm using today is from the U.S. Masters Swimming. I also brought in my little koozie. We got this free. This is Try U.S. Masters Month, July, doing a little promo.
Awesome.
And there's something on the back of this koozie that's really important that I want to read out loud, because this will help a lot of people who don't understand what it means. Master swimming is like a casino. You don't have to be good. You just have to be 18. So a lot of people think that master swimming is for elite high-level swimmers. It is not. You just have to be over 18. This is your opportunity to join a swim club. We do adult learn to swim classes through the Mahogany Mermaids for people to, number one, start to swim for the first time, but then have a community that they can come out and continue to learn at each of the different levels.
Where's that located? 'Cause I love that you're.
They are in South Charlotte. They are in South Charlotte. The swimmers are from all over the Charlotte area, but they. We do some of our lessons out of the Fairmeadow Swim Club down in South Charlotte near South Park area. Mm-hmm. But they also do lessons privately. You can look them up on Instagram. They also have a Facebook page. There's an email address. And if you are joining U.S. Swim Masters, you put in a club, and the Mahogany Mermaids is one of the clubs that you can join.
Got it.
But as you are also starting to, this month, there's still some time left in the month, you can try U.S. Swimming Master Swim. So what you can actually do is go online, kind of sign up for a trial, go out and get to know a swim club in your community. So they do that sometimes. You can go online and just check that out, put in your zip code, and you can find out if there is one in your community. So I wanted to say that because, again, if you're not familiar with swimming, you think master's levels means that you've mastered all of the swim strokes and that you are an elite level. And no, master's just means you're older. It's just a nice way to say that you're no longer a youth swimmer.
Yeah,
basically, you're over 18.
So let's talk about that. With the Olympics coming up and the swim cap at question really kind of potentially being banned, but I think they're looking at signing petitions and things of that nature.
Yeah, there was a mistake made there.
Yeah,
there really was.
Yeah.
And to start out with, one of the first things I'll say is it's not about hair. I truly don't believe it was ever about hair. It is a small, independent, Black-owned organization. They're not part of the big sponsorship groups, the ones that have a foothold in swimming, and those companies don't sell it. I truly believe if a Speedo or a Sporty or a TYR put out the same type of cap, there never would have been a conversation like this. And that's my own personal opinion. All sorts of people can say, it's not that. But it is what it seems like, because although these caps are made by Black companies, they are not just for Black people. We are not the only ones that have coarse, thick, dense, long hair that may not fit into what is a traditional cap, which takes us right into what I wanted to go over. So go ahead and ask your questions. I'm going to talk. I'm going to take these off, and I'm going to get started.
Awesome. I want to know, I'm just curious, when we think about swim caps, because when I was meeting with you this morning, all the caps that you have, I had no clue the variety of caps that existed. Would you say certain caps enhance or inhibit performance?
Enhance. Well, here's the thing. The purpose of a swim cap is really, caps in general, is to keep hair under control. Hair slows you down in the water. The follicles will actually hold against the water. It makes you less aerodynamic. It's the reason why swimmers tend to shave their bodies to eliminate body hair that could slow them down. And so a swim cap really kind of controls the hair so that you are more aerodynamic. It doesn't necessarily give you an advantage other than somebody whose hair is creating drag if they just left it out in the water. But in general, yes, caps come in all sorts of different types of fabrication. So there are the standard latex cap. And then, so I have all sorts of different caps over here with me. Like it's just a cornucopia of caps that I'm working with this morning. And so I have 2 different types of latex, which is your standard. And the only one that I don't have is Lycra. And a lot of people use Lycra caps because they have a lot of hair. And the Lycra caps help them to compress the hair to then put on a latex cap. And latex caps are traditionally what a lot of people are familiar with in a standard swim cap. As well, to protect their hair, a lot of swimmers put conditioner on first. And with the conditioner, that also allows for them to keep their hair from being damaged by the harsh conditions of the pool.
Yeah.
But as well, conditioner on hair makes most of these caps slide off immediately. So the Lycra cap allows for them to have that texture that kind of helps them hold the swim cap on. So a standard latex cap, you want to go ahead. Also, the first thing is always that you're going to pull the hair back as best as you can. So again, that's one of the reasons why I went ahead and put this on this morning. I do have a scrunchie with me or a little hair tie. I, with this one, could just wrap it up into a quick bun to be able to do this. But I will also pin it down.
And so the controversy around the swim cap was because the form and shape of the head?
So we're going to compare. I don't have Soul Cap, but I do have Swimma. They are made in South Africa, and they do the same type of thing. And you can see from the product alone, it is really, over here is the little images, Afro Kids. It is really geared towards a different type in general. So look at the size and shape of that cap. Look at the size and shape of this cap. Like you'll see the differences in general. But it's not made very different. This is a silicone cap, so it is a thicker fabrication. And it is very, very stretchy as well. But it's not really anything that, comes out and is completely different. It's still made in the same way that a lot of people tend to wear their caps this way. Some caps are actually made to be worn in symmetry with your face. So I'm going to take this cap, bring it across the back. Now, most people's natural hair doesn't slide. Mine is going to because it's not my natural hair. You pull it from the back, you bring it down. Bring it on the head. So latex is probably going to be the tightest as you're putting it on. Then you start to tuck the hair in. Everybody's like, oh, Erica, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's great.
But I'm helping because a lot of people tend to try to put it on from the front of their head back, and that makes it a lot harder for you. I got a little bit out in the back there. I see you, curl. I see you right there. I think I got, are we in?
Yeah, you're in there.
All right, so we're in this one. So this is just your standard latex cap.
Yeah.
Everything in. And you can see that it doesn't sit very well on this puffy hair. So the more hair that somebody has, the more volume, the coarser the hair, the harder it is to get all of the hair into the cap.
Got it.
You take it off and it's just compressed. So then I'm going to go with a regular silicone cap before I get to the swimmer cap. And of course, because I love leopard, you notice that it is a leopard cap. So this one's made by Sporty. And again, I brought this cap just to kind of state that sometimes caps have instructions on how to put them on.
Which cap?
They talk about care. So this is for my swim team. This is I am the middle school coach at Pine Lake Prep, and those are the caps. Any coach will tell you they keep extra caps because oftentimes the students are rushing to get a cap on. They will tear these. So most elite swimmers actually do keep extra ones with them all the time. And again, you can see the shape of the two of these. Same type of cap, same type of direction. The latex one is actually a little bit longer than this one. I tend to always have the design in the back.
So when we think about any type of barriers to getting into the sport or getting into swim, do you think accessories and caps, anything like that, has anything to do with?
Oh, absolutely. Because if you just go into your standard Walmart or wherever you're going to go buy a swim cap, a lot of your Dick's, Academy Sports, they're only going to be carrying a regular standard latex and maybe silicone cap. So in general, a lot of people are just going to buy what they see.
Right.
They're not aware of anything else. And so that is going to be their experience with this. So again, got as much of it in as I possibly could.
It's really good,
Pretty quickly, It slides on the hair better. You saw me not fight with it.
I know when
It's
been a long time since I've ever worn a swim cap, but I know when I used to wear them, some of those latex would be so tight it gives you headaches.
Indeed. So a lot of swimmers,
thick, of course.
Yep. A lot of swimmers who wear both the Lycra and the latex tend to complain about headaches.
Yeah.
Because it's very tight. There's a lot going on. So this is different. This one is actually neoprene.
I like
It's a lot
that.
thicker as well. This is my swim cap. This was also made by a person of color with different sizes. So my head is fairly small, as well as I don't have a lot of hair right now. So I have one of the smaller diva caps. But they also make it in larger sizes, and they make these for kids as well. The nice thing about this, and with this cap, again, I always pull from the back forward. Makes it a lot easier for you. I'm going to get my hands in there again and get this Velcro off of me.
And while you're putting that on, I'm going to, one of the comments that I loved from one of the articles that I was reading about the soul cap in particular, I know we don't have that today, but that's okay, but they were saying we need space and volume, which products like the soul cap allows for. Inclusivity is realizing that no one head shape is normal.
Yes.
And so when I think about a one-size-fits-all, right now we're talking about swimming, and for the example that's going on with the Olympics, but one size does not fit all.
Ever.
In anything that we do. And so people being allowed to innovate, create, to find solutions that work for you and us. So I'm glad that you're kind of bringing some of these things to light, because some of the stuff I had no clue about that was even going on, but it matters.
Yeah, it does.
It matters.
It does. My swimsuit. I have on my Torrid swimsuit this morning because those also come in different sizes and shapes.
Yeah.
And this one also has a full set of capris with it.
Yeah.
So the nicest thing I like about the My Soul cap is it also actually has a band in the back. So you pull it across and you have like a tighter fit back there so that it doesn't slide off of the head, because that does tend to happen for some people. Like I said, I have a technically pretty small head.
That looks more comfortable. So when I'm thinking about just swimming in general, even whether it's for recreation or competitive, when we feel better, we perform better. So thinking about
Absolutely.
how you feel and how you look and how things fit, it all matters. So knowing that there's options out there for people to get involved if they want to.
Well, and who wants to compete with a headache? Like, really, you
Right.
can't be your best.
No.
And so finally is the swimmer cap. And you can do this either way. You can do it front to back, which some people do, especially that have like long dreadlocks or braids or anything like that. But again, if I do it to the side, I have just a lot more room for the hair to go into and to be able to put this cap on. Sometimes I get lazy and I try to put it on without putting my hands in it first, but this really is the best way to do it. And again, you can see, yes, my hair moved. Normal people's hair is not going to move. But the wig does move, and you can just see how much better it got across the head to begin with. There's better coverage. Some people want their ears covered as well, so that they don't have as much water in their ears. It comes
Looks
down
like a
further
completely
in the
different
back.
experience.
Yeah, it is. And I have room in here if I wanted to actually wear my hair up here instead of at the nape of my head. And so it just is important to acknowledge, there are a lot of people who make comments about things like, well, not everybody is going to wear dreadlocks. And I would say if you've been to a music festival, you might have noticed that everybody will try. You have seen someone who is not darker hued with dreadlocks. So you can't say that it's only black people that this would benefit. Same thing with braids. Anybody can put their hair into braids. And if you have a lot of hair, a lot of volume, if you have thicker hair, if you have coarse hair, and that happens in any culture, it is not, there are a tendency for some people's hair to be finer and straighter, but some people have a coarser, a lot of redheads sometimes actually have thicker, coarser, curlier hair. So it really benefits anybody, and it's very important. It was very dismissive to say that it's not needed, and for then to say that it goes against the shape of the head. I mean, this is the shape of someone's head, not mine. But
Yeah.
so that was one of the conversations that you and I definitely wanted to have today, and I wanted to go over a lot of that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think it's important because it just hits on the importance of inclusivity and recognizing that all of us are different in our own unique ways, and thankful to the innovators and the creators to see that there's something that I need that's not available for me, so I'm going to go and create it. And so this is about including, as the world changes and grows, and as we begin to understand more about who we are and what we need, how do we fit into spaces and places without having to leave ourselves behind, right? And include all of us to make sure that we're getting taken care of. And I think when we think about, especially Black communities, the misconceptions around why we are not in the pool or not participating, and access matters and resources matter, and having things that really include all of us, it matters. And so I think that is really good. And I'm glad that you are a swim coach, a swim teacher, and you're a part of an organization that's really encouraging adults to learn how to swim, which will inspire them to teach their children and educate their children on a life-saving skill.
Yes,
not
absolutely.
just swimming for fun, but really being able to save our own lives or the lives of somebody else's.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought this to the table today.
And there have been a lot of conversations and a lot of exhibits and reports that really kind of show the dangers that come from the exclusion of Blacks in swimming. The International Swimming Hall of Fame had an exhibit about the history of Black swimming. There is also a report about the dangers that Blacks being excluded from swimming created in the community, and specifically at drowning rates. USA Swimming has also had exhibits before that really showed the history of it. And when you read it and when you look, in the early days, starting in the 1400s, when Blacks on West Africans especially were first, acquainted with their colonizers, what they found were people who were exquisite swimmers, who were the best divers in the world, the greatest swimmers who were learning in rivers and oceans and on shores, and they were swimming as early as they could walk. So there is some real information out there, and some history and some learning a lot of people need to do. There's a fantastic documentary on Netflix, which is a film called Blacks Can't Swim. Ed Akura, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, is a British Black man. He's a rapper, a music producer, but he did a documentary about his experience learning to swim. And it was just so funny to watch the documentary because you have so many different people of color with Scottish accents and British accents. And you think that a lot of the misconceptions about swimming, like Blacks can't float and all of these things, are just things that have been propagated in the U.S. But you find out the same thing is going on in the European areas. And so there's just so much out there. But he did one documentary. He has another one coming out. And I would be remiss, I did bring up USA Swimming, but I also have to say I have a swimmer cap because of a young lady that I actually found on Instagram. She started an organization called Afro Swimmers. She is a coach with a fro. Noelle Singleton, not related as far as I know, but thank you very much. And she is also fantastic as far as somebody. She wears a very large afro, and she shows her swimmers, she shows parents, she shows any and everybody how to take care of their hair and how to get into a cap. A lot of young Black swimmers will wear Afro puffs, and she just talks about how hard that is to get in a cap and keep the cap on. It'll slide off, and so options for what you should do.
That's awesome. And being able to swim, and it builds confidence, builds that trust. And when we're thinking about if the reasons and some of the reasons around our hair come up, there are options available. So I am so glad to know that. I'm so glad that you shared that. I'm going to get my niece one of those kind of caps. That's really kind of cool. I didn't realize there was other caps out there. Are there any tips or things that you want to share, Erica, with our audience? If we have parents out there that are listening, adults out here that are listening.
Tons of things, honestly. You're always looking for community. When I was a swim instructor, our children start from 8 months old, and so it was really nice. There were a lot of families where I was the first teacher that their child had, even before they went into daycare. And so the representation matters. A lot of people look at lifeguarding and they look at swimming instruction as just kind of a recreational job, but it is taking care of people's lives. It is showing people life-saving skill. And when you are teaching someone's children, you are in charge of their lives as well. So, but there is a lot of information out there. You can always kind of go look. There are products for your hair if that's what's holding you back. There are nose plugs if you're afraid. And there are videos everywhere on YouTube about getting a little bit more comfortable. And last but not least, because we're going to have to talk about this more. I'm very excited that a number of Black swimmers are going to be able to use their name, image, and likeness now with the NCAA rule changing. So we'll talk about that again.
Absolutely. As always, our third Thursdays fly by. I appreciate you so much. I want my Mental Fitness Matters community to go out, shine bright like the stars that you are. Check out the mermaids if you are in the Charlotte area.
Mahogany mermaids.
Mahogany mermaids. Learn how to swim. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week. Thank you for joining us today on Mental Fitness Matters. Tune in every Thursday at 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. for more tips, tools, strategies, and solutions that will help you reach your peak mental fitness. My name is Tracy Austin, and you've been listening to Mental Fitness Matters.